This is still KBC Channel 1, and we have shifted gears from stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours to a conversation that you and I definitely need to have. What is the best investment vehicle for you? Are you saving for your retirement? Does it earn you some interest in this? We're going to be talking about pension schemes with a keen focus on the Postal Corporation of Kenya. Joining me in this conversation is none other than the CEO of the Postal Corporation of Kenya, Elijah Koskey. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
When Kenyans hear about pension schemes, they're thinking, I can only participate or rather get into a pension scheme when I'm retiring. Maybe let's start off from that point. Let us understand what a pension scheme is all about. To you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Regina. Pension scheme is basically an avenue in which people are able to save for their retirement when they are still working. Maybe even before we go there, I represent the Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme and Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme, a scheme that was established in the year 2002, currently at a fund value of over 6 billion shillings. And we manage pension funds for employees of Postal Corporation of Kenya, a state corporation within the Republic of Kenya, in which employees, when they get employed, they are able to save for their retirement. So maybe going back to your question, why is it important to save for retirement? We have realized that majority of our senior citizens at the end of their working life end up not having sufficient cash to be able to sustain their lives in retirement. So therefore, that is why it is very important to join a pension scheme and be able to save so that you're able to sustain your life, or you continue living the same life you used to live while you were working. Yes.
Very well said. Now, why does a PCK have two pension schemes? We understand one is for the staff that started off in 2002 and closed its doors to 2009. No new employees can be added to the scheme. Is it the reason maybe why you have two?
Yes. Postal Corporation of Kenya, as I had mentioned earlier, established two schemes in the year 2002, following the split of the defunct Kenya Post and Telecommunications Corporation. The schemes that were established is a pension, it's it's called a defined benefit scheme, and a provident fund that were established that time. Then in the year 2010, the government issued directives that corporations that have pension funds need to convert into defined contribution schemes. So therefore, in the year 2010, one was closed. The DB scheme was closed, and a new DC scheme was opened in the year 2010 January. So that's why we have two pension schemes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well said. Now, when you talk about pension schemes, maybe we can just look at it from a general point of view. And having seated in this value chain, what would you say are the main challenges, to the thriving of pension schemes, looking at our local industry, so to speak, within the corporate sector?
Yeah, pension schemes mostly employees receive. Employees are paid based on what is saved in the schemes. For example, I'll talk about a defined contribution scheme. A defined contribution scheme is an arrangement where employees contribute a certain percentage of their salaries, and the employer tops up the difference. Actually, the employer tops up at a certain rate as well. For example, in our case now, employees contribute at the rate of 7.5% of their basic salary, and employer tops up 12%. Those contributions are supposed to be remitted to the scheme for investments through the scheme custodian. The scheme custodian receives the contributions and invests through the fund managers the investments. So some of the major challenges that most of the pension schemes, and particularly public sector pension scheme, I would say public sector in the sense that these are pension schemes that are owned by parastatals, for example, or other government entities. So most of the challenges that they often face are issues to do with non-remittance of contributions. That has really been a big challenge to most of the schemes, but the government is in liaison with those institutions are working very hard to ensure the funds are remitted. Yes.
Now, non-payment, delay in payment, non-remittance are the major challenges facing this pension scheme.
Yes.
So how do pension schemes actually circumvent that? Is there a recourse for that?
Yeah. No, there are several ways in which institutions can overcome that, and particularly the sponsors of these pension schemes. We saw, I think, in the year 1999, when Postal pension scheme was established. The Postal pension scheme was established after the split of Kenya Post and Telecommunications Corporation, and thereafter we established the Postal Corporation of Kenya. Now, what happened is, for the issues that were there, especially the non-funding, the mother institutions, which are the sponsors, were forced to transfer certain assets in form of property to these schemes. Now, those assets now started again becoming a challenge to the schemes, because one, schemes require liquidity for you to be able to pay your benefits. When an employee retires, for example, you pay them their cash immediately. The regulations require that you must pay within a period of 30 days. Now, if you have your investments in, say, property, you will realize that it would be very difficult to liquidate, and therefore disposing the property for you to pay benefits is not a good option. So you must be able to have the liquidity that you need in the schemes. So the only way schemes are able to circumvent the challenge of non-remittance is through constant engagements with the sponsor, and by extension the government, for them to be able to fund the deficit that can arise from non-remittance.
Now, talking about liquidity, a report in 2021 indicated that some retirees who had already left office between the year 2016 to 2021 were still owed 1 billion shillings. Where are we at in as far as that?
Engagements are still ongoing between the sponsor and the scheme trustees to ensure those remittances are made. We are still badly off. We haven't been able to collect all that money, but at least if you look at, I think we'll have an AGM tomorrow, you will see that at least some contributions started coming in, especially to those people who are retiring, so that you do not inconvenience someone who has retired, yet they had actually remitted the contributions.
From where you sit and tackling the issue of liquidity, would you say then, would it be wise then for pension schemes to invest in assets, just as a buffer in the event that the returns are not coming, so that they can generate their own income, so to speak? Would that be a line that pension schemes would likely, from where you sit with the experience?
Yeah. Okay. Pension schemes are guided by on investment, guided by regulations, yes, which are issued by the Retirement Benefits Authority, that gives the limits within which a scheme can invest in. For example, I'll give an example of, say, property. For example, the schemes are not allowed to invest more than 30%. So measures must be put in place to ensure that investment in property is not more than 30%, so that liquidity is achieved. Also, in the same guidelines, RBA can actually allow you to invest in government securities up to the tune of 90%. This mainly is because of the security. I mean, you are almost sure that you are able to receive your returns if you invest in government securities. The Retirement Benefits Authority also has allowed pension schemes to invest in alternative investments up to the tune of 10% of the fund assets. These can include private equity, infrastructure bonds, and the rest, and the others. Yeah. Yes.
Now so we can invest only guided within the laid down parameters.
Yes.
With regard to that matter.
Yes.
So 90% in government bonds, and this maybe comes into the fact that, if you invest in government, you're likely to have your returns. There's always that surety. So these retirees are going to earn from that particular investment. Maybe we can do the 30%, maybe review it to more, because we're seeing other, like the cooperative movement is really moving into investment in asset, and this is keeping the cooperative movement actually, churning with a portfolio of over 1 trillion shillings, investing left, right, and center. But that is for the regulator, so to speak.
The regulator, yes, we can talk about that. But when you look at, essentially, when you look at the immovable property as an investment class, it is very difficult sometimes to liquidate, and especially when you're required to pay benefits, because a scheme is really established to be able to pay benefits as and when they fall due. For example, if you retired today, you would want your money within even 7 days. As a scheme, we have agreed that if we receive your claim today, there is no point to even go beyond the 30 days that are required by the authority, because we have the liquidity. But if you have invested, say, in immovable property, you are asset rich, what we usually say, you're asset rich but cash poor, because you have the assets all over the place, but you do not have the cash. So that's why the authority came up with those guidelines to say any scheme should really not invest more than 30% in property.
For liquidity purposes. Now let's look at another risk when it comes to pension schemes, and this is the lack of longevity in as far as insurance is concerned. How are you tackling that?
In pension schemes, right now we have increasingly seen that people live longer, and therefore the need for people to save more, the longevity risk, where nowadays people live longer. Our life expectancy has gone up.
Yes.
We are no longer talking about dying in a few years, but we find people living beyond the 100 years. So therefore, there is therefore need for people to consider the fact that you can actually outlive your investments, and therefore you must be able to find other alternative ways in which you can be able to save. In fact, we have additional voluntary contributions which you can actually make. We have issues to do with post-retirement medical, for example. Post-retirement medical, to take care of your medical needs when you reach retirement. So those are some of the risks, how you can mitigate the longevity risk by ensuring you have sufficient liquidity at the point of retirement. In fact, I have been talking to some of my pensioners, and whenever we go around to talk to them, you will see somebody will tell you the value of 500 shillings when you have retired, that you can actually be able to take a matatu and go to town to get your 2,000 shillings pension and be able to buy a shirt and be able to entertain your friends over a cup of tea. That makes your life a bit, you live longer because you are comfortable, because you know there is something that is coming in at the end of the month. Yes.
Talking about investment, let's look at looking at where we are in as far as matters of inflation. Everyone is thinking, how do I make an extra shilling?
Yes.
So looking at the property market, as well as, it being very lucrative, so to speak. As you've said, you do not want to be cash poor, but you're very rich in asset. Let's look at the property market as an avenue where pension schemes can actually invest in. From where you sit?
Property is a way. Okay, property investment is an alternative. A way in which you can diversify your assets. But again, as I said, and as I support the regulator's point of view, you do not also want to be too much on property as opposed to other alternative asset classes which give you liquidity. But I think our Kenyan style is that when I retire, I want to have rental houses, you know, a line of rental houses and so on, which is a good thing, But there are also challenges that go with that, because we have challenges of court cases, for example, where we have disputes on, property issues, where, you know, sometimes you increase rent and people go to court and they do not want rent to be increased, they want to pay the below market, and therefore at the end of the day you end up suffering as an investor because you are unable to realize maximum returns on your investment. So you could be having a property worth 3.2 billion shillings, for example, but your return is 2%. Now that is not,
it's not economically viable, even financially. The math doesn't add up.
Yes,
you're operating on a negative.
Exactly.
Now, as we work or inch closer to bringing this conversation to an end, just tell us the role. We've had these pension schemes, and as you've said, there are so many cases that are pending in court in regard to mismanagement of these funds by, you know, the management. Let's look at the role of the trustees when it comes to pension schemes. Just how much power do the trustees have in making decisions of a pension scheme?
Okay, thank you for that question. I think we need to understand that the pension scheme's assets are, it is the responsibility of the trustees to take care of the assets of the scheme. They are separate from the sponsor. Trustees manage the assets of the people they are entrusted. They have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure these assets are managed well, these assets are invested well, and these assets are protected so that the beneficiaries who have entrusted them with these assets are able to get their returns at the point of retirement. So we have seen trustees go as far as even taking the sponsor who actually established the schemes to court. So that is the power that a trustee has. They actually have the fiduciary responsibility to protect the assets of the people they have been entrusted with. Because we find these people are vulnerable, you know, they may not be able to do much. But you see, when trusteeship has been established, they must therefore protect the assets of the scheme. So that's why you will find trustees, some of them, would be bold enough to even go to court against the sponsor who actually established this scheme. So that is the power they have. So they have the powers to ensure that money is invested well, money is disbursed to the right beneficiaries. They have a responsibility to ensure that even the beneficiaries, by the way, a trustee can actually alter your nomination of beneficiaries if they find that you did not do it in a fair manner. Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you, Mr. Koskey, is that when these pension schemes, actually the beneficiaries, because the trustees are elected by the beneficiaries, if I'm not wrong. So they need to employ prudence, you know, and allow that Section 6 of the Constitution, that is integrity, question comes in when it comes to picking these trustees, because they may as well break or make the pension scheme. So from where you sit, being the CEO of the Postal Corporation of Kenya pension scheme, what do you envision? What do you see for this particular pension scheme in years to come?
No, I see a scheme that is going to grow beyond where it is currently right now. We have a strategic plan in which we hope to grow. I told you we have two schemes. We have the DB scheme, which is a closed scheme that was closed in 2009. In our plan, we hope to see this scheme grow to about 7.1 billion shillings by 2024. But again, there are challenges which we have mentioned here. Issues to do with properties. You know, properties. You must be able to comply with the regulations. But as a scheme, we are still way above the limit on property. And the only way you can achieve the objective is to be able to invest in asset classes that give you good returns. and so that you can be able to achieve that objective. When we talk about the DC scheme, the one that was established on 1st of January 2010, we still have challenges on issues to do with remittances, but we are liaising with the sponsor as well as the National Treasury to be able to transfer certain assets, to be able to bridge the gap, especially the issues of the non-remittances. So we see these schemes growing. We don't want to say we have given up. These schemes are going to grow, and the members are going to benefit. Yeah.
Quite a portfolio, an ambitious portfolio, so to speak. Did you say 7.1 billion? The DB scheme is about 5.8 billion. Yeah, so the other one is about 3.6 billion. Oh, wow. Yeah. So very easily achievable.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is achievable. It is achievable, yes.
But in the short term, as CEO, what are you doing to ensure that, you know, these talks that are you're currently engaged in, that these retirees who are still waiting for their monies, that it is fast track? We're looking at around 6 years down the line?
Yes. Yeah, that has been a challenge, and on behalf of trustees have really done a good job engaging the sponsor, engaging the regulator, the Retirement Benefits Authority, engaging even through the court. As I mentioned, I think since the matter is in court, we may not be able to discuss it. Yeah. But those are the efforts that are being put by trustees and the sponsor, together with the regulator and the National Treasury. As you are aware, Postal Corporation of Kenya is a state parastatal, and therefore they can't wake up tomorrow and say, we are transferring for you this property. They've got to seek the authority of the Treasury for them to be able to transfer those assets.
Mr. Koskey, I'm giving you 1 minute to give us a parting shot in regard to the pension scheme and why you think that this is an avenue that is going to secure the future of persons who are already under the scheme.
Okay, thank you, Regina. In my parting shot, I want to say that saving for retirement is very critical, and I want to appreciate the role that has been played by the regulator. I think in the recent past we have seen them trying to reach out to as many people as possible. They have now opened offices at Huduma centers to be able to reach as many people as possible. So let us take advantage of this. They have given us opportunity to be able to ask questions, to be able to get clarifications, and especially on matters to do with pensions. But again, I would also want to challenge the young people. The young people really do not believe in saving for retirement. I remember discussing with one young person some time back. She told me that, why should I am 25, why should I start saving money? Why can't I start investing on my own? But that conversation starts to change when you reach 40 years. You start saying, I wish I had started saving. So we want to change that conversation. We want people to start saving early. So as we talk about our own schemes, we have our annual general meeting tomorrow, yes, where we will be broadcasting live through KBC Channel 1. And we invite our members to be able to follow us through KBC, through Zoom. We have provided the Zoom link, and we have a few targeted audience we have invited to be able to attend the broadcast, which is going to be live at the Hilton Hotel tomorrow. Thank you.
Now, I had given you a minute to do a parting shot,
yes,
and I think you've done such a brilliant job. And there's a question that is coming in, that who is entitled, or rather who can actually benefit from the Postal Corporation pension scheme? Is it just open to only the staff, or can someone from an outsider actually be part of the pension scheme?
No. A Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme is an occupational retirement benefit scheme established by the Postal Corporation of Kenya. So it's only open to employees of Postal Corporation of Kenya.
Indeed. This is just a viewer who was asking, because, I mean, they were talking about being an investment. So, yeah, we had to put that question there. So there you have it. We are going to be broadcasting live the AGM that is going to be taking place tomorrow at the Hilton there. And also you have an opportunity to also get to participate, especially if you are a beneficiary beneficiary of this particular pension scheme. That is the Postal Corporation of Kenya pension scheme there. It's going to be virtual. Actually, what we're terming it as is that it is going to be a hybrid AGM come tomorrow. Physical, it's going to be taking place at the Hilton Hotel, Nairobi, and they're going to be providing Zoom links, and we're going to be streaming live on our various social media platforms, including Twitter as well as Facebook. We have been having a conversation with none other than the Executive Officer, the Postal Corporation of Kenya, Elijah Koskey. Thank you very much for your time.
Very much. Yeah,
well, I'm Regina Manyara, and I wish you a pleasant viewing ahead. Just to remind you that what is currently happening at the Serena this morning is that your true sports partner, and this is yours truly, KBC Channel 1, is going to be unveiling its sports products for you that we're going to be televising, if you like, broadcasting to you live. So do keep it right here. We're going to be joining Daniel Wahome in not too long to just bring us up to speed with the activities that already began at around 6 a.m. and bring us up to speed to see what we should expect from this particular momentous occasion that is currently underway. So do keep it right here and enjoy your viewing.